with the club in the title. Let's start with Arsenal. And wow, I mean, I think that's probably. I was kind of a little bit shocked in midweek about their performances. Obviously, they beat my team Chelsea 4-2 in a game which made me very angry, and then obviously they beat United. I think Mikel Arteta has done something in the past 7 days, which has completely turned the fortunes of that club around. It was obviously mutiny and there was tumultuous circumstances, very, very uncertain. Uncertain is probably one of the better ways you could describe it about their future and about how they were going. Especially, considering the previous month where they dropped 3 of 4 games, I think. They lost Southampton, lost to Brighton, and lost to Liverpool as well, I think. Or someone else, I'll quickly check that. But yeah, and it all seemed to be going south because it seemed that Spurs were going to run over the top of them, get top 4, and Arsenal were going to have another season which could be classed as a failure if you want to speak about it like that. I don't think not making top 4 is a failure for Arsenal this season, but it certainly would have been disappointing considering the good run that they went on throughout the middle to late end of the season. And to see how Arteta has transformed that club is really surprising. And I think the main way in which it happened was a slight tactical switch and also a bit of luck, right? So obviously Eddie Nketiah has started 2 games and they've won both of their games. And no, I'm not saying Eddie Nketiah is the be all and he's like the man, right? Because I do think he lacks some assets to be a Premier League striker, but what he offers in comparison to Lacazette is a Premier League striker. I think Eddie Nketiah is much more of a Premier League striker than Andre Lacazette. Is that his name? I think he's built for the Premier League a lot more in comparison to Lacazette. And the reason I say this is because he's able to create a lot more out of nothing. And we saw that with both his goals against Chelsea, really. The first one, he was very opportunistic, pounced on a mistake, and took a very classy finish past Edouard Mendy for his first. And his second was scrambling the box, instinctive finish, the things that you need to be a Premier League striker. You look at some of the best Premier League strikers over the years. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy springs to mind as someone that was in the right position, scoring goals, just instinctive finishes based off intelligence. And Nketiah obviously is nowhere near the level of Van Nistelrooy, that goes without saying, but he has that quality of being able to find himself in the right positions and being able to just get that toe in or get that shot away. And that change has allowed the players out wide, your Sakas, your Martinellis, your Odegaards, your Smith Rowes, to have more freedom because they don't have to carry the goal-scoring load as much. Because obviously Eddie scored, I'm pretty sure he scored against United as well. So you saw that they were able to play with a lot more freedom and a lot more flamboyance and creativity because, I mean, you take any of the 4 and play them across that middle attacking third. And they're delicious to watch, really. They are now, Arsenal are now favourites to top 4. I think that's undisputed. I don't think you look at Spurs, I think they're too inconsistent. United are completely out of it, and West Ham fell to Chelsea, which didn't help their cause. So it's now Arsenal's to lose, and I don't think they'll lose it. I think they've found their stride perfectly, they've timed their run perfectly towards the end of the season, and it's theirs to lose, and I don't think they will. I think they're going to maintain this form. They're going to ride the momentum all the way to the end of the season and make top 4. And I think that is a dream result for Arteta, especially considering a couple of factors. Considering their pre-season expectations, which, while they weren't Arsenal going to finish 10th, they weren't top 4. So you look at that, you think, all right, tick there. You look at the investment, and I know that they spent a lot of money, but if you look at Tomiyasu, Ben White, Thomas Partey. I mean, Partey was not this season, but Tomiyasu, Ben White, Nuno Tavares, Aaron Ramsdale. They invested heavily on that defence, and then obviously they made Odegaard a permanent signing as well. So this investment has been a little bit of a gamble because they're obviously very young players, and they've really invested in that young core, especially in defence. So to see it pay off already is a big tick, massive tick in my book for Arsenal, and also the third factor is their first 3 games of the season. They lost to Brentford, which was the perfect storm. Brentford, everything went right for Brentford in that game to see them win, if that makes sense. Then obviously they verse the champions away from home. They're going to be easy. And then they verse Chelsea with a fit and firing. Actually, no, I think they verse Chelsea second. They verse Chelsea with... They verse Brentford. They verse Chelsea with a fit and firing Romelu Lukaku. Probably the only time we could say that this season. And then they verse the champions, which is never going to be easy, regardless of the circumstance. And then after those 3 games, they had no points, conceded 9 goals, and hadn't scored. So it was looking very dicey at that stage. But they held firm. They didn't waver from their game plan. I think you have to show Arteta massive respect for that, because they didn't move away from what they knew. They just kept going. They kept plugging away, and they just maintained a game plan which wasn't working, but the pieces were there for it to work. And now we're seeing just how good the game plan and Arsenal can be with everything going right. So yeah, Arsenal have taken top 4 and have put it well within their grasp. And yeah, very surprising, because like I said, losing to Southampton, Brighton, Liverpool, Palace, and having 1 win in between them, not good. But they've beaten Chelsea, beaten United in pretty convincing fashion. I mean, the Chelsea game wasn't overly convincing because it was pretty even. But the United game, if things had fallen in certain ways, if Bruno scored, if I think Delay hit the post twice, I believe, a lot of things could have changed, but they didn't, and we can only ponder on what we thought could have happened, but it didn't happen. So yeah, Arsenal have top 4 in their sights. The finish line is within strike, really, and I just don't see them bottling it from here. But I mean, I say that I'm going to come back in 2 weeks' time. They're going to have lost 3 games, and they would have been like Spurs would have overtook them. So again, it's one of those things where we can only ponder. We can only have expectations for Arsenal, which, I mean, Arsenal and expectations haven't gone together for a long time. But it's Arsenal to lose. They surely won't drop it now. Massive props to Arteta, who has transformed this club into something very, very, very special. And or transformed this team, especially in recent times, into something very special. And kudos to them. Looking ahead to next season, I know that's harsh to say, because we haven't finished this season, but I just want to tell all Arsenal fans this. If Arsenal don't make top 4 next season, have patience. Like, please have patience, because success is never linear, right? So success is not linear. So teams don't do this. Teams don't have... Like, it's very rare you see a team finish 14th, 11th, 7th, 4th, 2nd, 1st. That very rarely happens. Teams will finish 11th, then 7th, then 9th, then 4th, then 6th, then 2nd, then 5th, then 1st, right? Because it doesn't happen like that. So if Arsenal finish 4th this season, they're going to go into next season with a young, inexperienced, naive squad, a young, inexperienced manager, with a thin squad as well. unless they invest heavily, which I don't think will happen. And they're also going to have European football and the highest caliber of European football. So if their performances start to dip, if they start to be a little bit more inconsistent, and they start to have petulant performances, don't panic, because that is part of a young team, part of a rebuild, and you have done this rebuild in a perfect way so far. You have taken a step back. You've realised, all right, we're not going to challenge for the league. Let's not aim to challenge for the league. Let's not even aim to finish in the top 4. Let's just build. Let's build. Let's trust these young players. Let's invest in the squad. Let's get the morale up, and then let's build from there. Obviously, I know Gabriel Jesus has been heavily linked. If they could get him, that is a massive signing. I don't think he's the number 9 replacement or number 9 option. I do think you need to get someone, a proper 9. Who that is, who knows? I threw up Kelechi Iheanacho for the January this season. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition. Someone like a Patrick Schick. I know, obviously, they were after Vlahovic, but that was never going to happen, let's be honest. So, yeah, someone like that. An Iheanacho, a Patrick Schick, no one's springing to my name. An Ivan Toney, perhaps. Yeah, these type of players, maybe even a Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well, depending on. But if it doesn't happen for them next season, don't panic. It will take time, and it will take time to maintain a consistent team. You look at like Liverpool and City, they are so consistent because they've had 4 years of building a foundation for this team, which has allowed them to be so good all the time. So yeah, Arsenal, don't panic if it doesn't happen next season. Take in what's happening right now, because it's pretty special. And I think it's time. I think now it's time for them to maybe not take the next step, but show that they want to take the next step. Show that they need to. Show that they want to invest. That they want to make this team good again. So yes, I think that's enough Arsenal speak. I think I just written down one thing here. That I think if you could summarize their transformation period, like how do I describe this? If you could sum up their 2-game run against Chelsea and United, how to summarize in like a sentence what has changed? They used to be shit in the final third. Now they're pretty good. That's pretty much the crux of it, because they've always been solid defensively, not overly good, but solid in midfield. I know their midfield double pivot at the moment is not what they want. So I don't think Partey has been playing, but Xhaka and El Neni, when they've come in, they've played well, and up top and that final third haven't been able to show their full quality yet, which is a massive credit to them, because they've been outstanding this season, but they haven't hit their ceiling. So if they can hit their ceiling, which they've shown that they're getting close to hitting in these past 2 games, then that's a massive tick for Arsenal. So yeah, they used to be shit in the final third. Now they're pretty good. Yes. Now let's move on.